Hey tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with PR154, where we're having our first look of the new Premium Tier VIII British heavy support tank that's coming to a large box near you in Holiday Ops 2021. Now this is mostly a gameplay review. I'll try to cover most of the characteristics of the tank as we go, but please check out the article on my Wix page where I try to go into a little bit more detail about the technical and tactical characteristics of this vehicle. Unfortunately, we've been a little bit pushed for time to release something, so I'm hoping to expand on that content a little bit later. But I will put the link to the article in the description below for your perusal. So what can we say about this tank other than what an amazing gun? 6-inch auto reloader with 2-shot magazine. Its shells are also pretty well unparalleled in World of Tanks. We've got the standard high explosive that deals 850 hit points of damage per shot, but with 180 millimeters of penetration. Now, in order to get that order of penetration anywhere else in Tier 8, you've got to be firing Hesh out of the Charioteer, which granted that'll penetrate for 210 millimeters, but that's only delivering 480 hit points. This thing delivers 850 hit points, and that it can do it all again less than 4 seconds later. So that gives you this tremendous burst, HE burst capability, 1700 hit points. You also have quite a decent armor piercing option, and that will hit for about 600 hit points, but it'll penetrate up to 297 millimeters of armor. And I guess that brings Caliban into quite a growing number of vehicles at Tier 8 that have the ability, through premium ammunition, to remain threats and to remain relevant in Tier 10 engagements. That's also not necessarily a good thing. Like there are plenty of Tier 8 vehicles for whom armor is the sole redeeming quality. Like they might have awful guns, or they might have awful mobility, nothing else going for them except the armor, and it's kind of invalidated by these sorts of guns with this order of penetration. So I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that, and whether this is the right direction, or maybe it's just a case of some of those Tier 8 tanks just needing a little bit of love to make their armor relevant again. I digress. There are penalties for this sort of destructive power, and one of the big ones is the gun handling, and the aim time, and the reload. It all sort of comes together, as we can see. Unfortunately, this Barask doesn't want to make an appearance, so I can't really demonstrate it there. There we go. Let's look at this Rheinmetall Borsig Waffenträger. 4.1 second aim time, but if you're patient with it, it's a reasonable effect on target. We've been able to do 895 hit points of damage to the Rheinmetall Borsig Waffenträger, and it's been destroyed by a follow-up shot by the ISU 152. We can also see that the Pershing, which will line up on, loose the shot, but unfortunately we miss it because our base dispersion on this tank is 0.58 meters per 100 meters, which is about on par with the KV2. So now when it comes to reload, if you're just firing one shell at a time and you're patiently allowing the tank to reload before you fire the next shot, the reload time is roughly on par with the KV2 as well. But when you are a little bit impatient with your shots and you end up deep diving into your magazine, as I've kind of done here, then it's going to take you 38 seconds to get another shell back in the tube and ready to go. So it's possibly important to make a habit of exercising a little bit of caution when you're after you do a mag dump. Make sure you've got somewhere that you can hide. In this case, we've decided to be a little bit more patient with our shot. We're back to a full magazine before we send it into the Pershing, unfortunately only doing 89 hit points of damage. In the meantime, we have a shot of opportunity on the SU 130 PM, and it pays off. So in that case, even though we've done another deep dive into the magazine, I think that's justified because we've knocked out one of the other major threats that are working the top of the ridge, and that'll give our vehicles up the top here some freedom to either support us in this fight or to support our team in that fight. As it stands, this is pretty well a neck and neck battle. So we're just waiting to reload again to re-engage this Pershing. We've got our first shell loaded, and we're just waiting to reload the second shell. It's not having any major effect on the TS5. Doesn't appear to be having any effect on the Tiger II as well. So we've got time. If anything, the Pershing is struggling a little bit. So we're aiming, and we fired prematurely. Just fractions of seconds. We've fired too early, and now we're doing another deep dive. Fortunately, in that instance, we were able to knock out the Pershing. It had taken a bit of damage from somewhere else, I suspect, because we've only inflicted 495 hit points of damage on it, rather than perhaps our full quotient. But that's okay. On the face of things, it's going to take us 60 seconds to reload the mag. It's going to take us 60 seconds to get up this bloody hills. Also, look at the battlefield situation over here. We don't 100% know what's going on there, and chances are by the time these enemy vehicles get back to protect their cap, we'll already have 2 rounds back in the locker anyway. Thus far, it appears it's just the Chinese WZ-120, the tank destroyer, that's in that area, and it looks like it's about to be flanked by both our Su-130PM and our 122 TM. So that side of the map looks pretty well under control, so we're going to move into cap, and certainly some of our teammates here, if you've been noticing the chat, were suggesting rather emphatically that we do that. So we're into the cap circle, using the not terrible mobility of Caliban. It's got 43 kilometers per hour forward speed. I forget what it is, reverse speed. Maybe, I think it was only something lame like 12. I'll double check that. But our Tiger II has been able to spot my counterpart in the enemy Caliban, and they've been able to put an absolute honker of a shot into the Tiger II. It must have been the high explosive that they had loaded. Now, I'm not quite sure how many shells they've released in this sequence. We're expecting a bit of a fight, so we've actually switched up to the AP as we were climbing the hill. We had the time to do it, and we find the upper frontal plate of Caliban, put the first shot in, intraclip reload, and shut it down for our 3rd kill of the game. The enemy Caliban only had the HE loaded, so they weren't able to do the order of damage to us that we were to them. So that's a bit of a win for us. Happy with that. Let's take a look at the results. So for our efforts, we've managed to pick up a level 2 mastery badge. We didn't pick up any Battle Heroes medals or epic medals, but we did manage to get these 2 badges of honor. We got the duelist medal for destroying at least 2 enemy vehicles that have caused damage to us in turn. And you may have to expect that with Caliban, where you're going to find yourself tanking a shot while you're still aiming in, but you know full well that you can probably survive the follow-up shot because, well, you can give them a follow-up shot in less than 4 seconds. They say the most effective way to stay alive in World of Tanks is to reduce enemy hit points to 0. Sounds simple enough. We've also picked up the Fire for Effect medal for doing at least our hit points in damage, accounting for over 2,800 hit points upon the enemy. Having a look at the team scores, we've placed reasonably well here today. We've only been just reasonably well outstripped actually by Greggy of the New Zealand native contingent, who is, you might know him around the ANZ server as being a little bit of a legend in the SU-130PM. In fact, I believe we featured him in that vehicle on the channel in one of our very early videos. I might even link that below. There you go, shameless plug for you there, Greggy. Special mention to some of our opponents here, the Skoda T56 and the Caliban, who between them have racked up quite a heavy swath of damage. In fact, top on both sides here was the Skoda T56, who's just beaten Greggy by a single hit point. So well done, but bad luck, but I am not complaining. Having a look at the detailed report, this was actually quite a profitable battle for us, but I suspect that was a function of just completing a hell of a lot of missions for the day. I'm really not sure what we did to deserve that. So if you take that out of the equation, you're left with about 70,000 credits profit. So quite a profitable game for us, and that's in spite of losing a couple of premium shells towards the end of the game as well. So that's it, folks. The Premium Tier VIII British heavy support tank, the Caliban. Hopefully coming to a Holiday Ops 2021 large box near you. Take care out there.